We're here. We're doing our best reaction content. This is God Hand Review, Beat Thugs TM, Demons TM, Women TM by Seth. I don't remember how to pronounce his name. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, let's watch.
Today, I'll be covering a game that was overshadowed during its release, bombarded by critics, and loved by absolutely everyone who isn't complete garbage at video games. A game which grinds through your analog sticks like butter, encourages healthy eating, respecting women, and emphasizes the virtues of the Good Samaritan principle. I'm speaking, of course, about God Hand, a game I was too impoverished to play as a child, since we couldn't afford a PlayStation, but now my PC is powerful enough to be a PlayStation. Through the magic of emulation, God Hand can be played very comfortably on your own computer, and it works great. The simple gist of the game is the following. You play as GOON, a guy with a fancy jacket and an insatiable appetite for fresh fruit. You're also disabled because your right arm has just been cut off by demons, but you've got a new arm now instead, the God Hand, thanks to Olivia, a girl who threatens to chop it back off if you don't do what she says. And now it's time to beat the shit out of all the thugs and demons responsible for disarming you. But you'll need to master the God Hand to stand a fighting chance, because this game doesn't play around. It's hard, it's very hard, and it only gets even harder. In this universe, the vast majority of punks, metalheads, and women want nothing more than to beat the shit out of you instead. The fighting system is easy to learn, but insanely difficult to master. For a start, Gene operates on tank controls, which might seem bizarre, but makes perfect sense once you understand the purpose of it. The left stick turns and moves you around. The right stick is designed exclusively for dodging. The other buttons let you use your techniques. Pretty simple, right? Wrong. Each of your buttons can be instantly remapped to do different moves and techniques. There's a lot of techniques. There's 170 of them you can pick up during the story or buy from your local convenience store. If you choose poorly, you won't even be able to dispatch normal enemies, let alone bosses. But that's not all. There's a bar at the bottom of your screen. That's your tension meter. The more hits you land, the more damage you do. The more damage you do, the quicker the tension meter gets filled up. Once it fills up, your right arm starts glowing, and if you smack the right button on your controller, you unleash your God Hand. The powers of a god are temporary, but in this short span of time, Gene is completely invincible, lightning fast, and hits twice as hard, while your theme song plays in the background. It's amazing, but that's not all. Picking up cards during your fights fills up your roulette wheel, which triggers whenever you smack the right trigger instead.
Once a ball buster.
Everything goes slow-mo, and you get to choose from a selection of every roulette move you have equipped. This can be anything from a ball buster, punch combo, or even a dragon kick that sends your enemies flying out of the solar system.
That's awesome.
Where's that in these games? I'd love
that.
Yeah,
what? This is so cool.
It seems like ahead of its time, to be honest.
Yeah, way ahead.
Ball buster.
This is like Sifu before Sifu.
Or one of the first two bosses.
Wait, he just said that the ball buster doesn't work on robots or the first two balls.
Out of the solar system. As a word of caution, though, ball buster doesn't work on women, robots, or one of the first two bosses, because he lost his testicles in the war. The lore of God Hand.
What is this gorilla?
What? The fighting system goes even deeper. Most games increase the health of your enemies to give you the illusion of difficulty. God Hand does no such thing. The better you do, the more hits you land, and the more hits you dodge, the higher your level becomes. What does this mean? It means enemies start kicking your ass. As level increases, so do their abilities. They start using moves you've never seen before. They start changing their patterns to throw you off, and they start getting more and more aggressive as they try and put you in the ground. There's 4 levels, which are quite self-explanatory. Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, and Level Die. If you get to Level Die, you are expected to die. If you don't want to die, I suggest you get on your hands and knees and start groveling for mercy. God Hand doesn't play around, but if you take the time and you'll learn how to take the heat.
Why have I never heard of this game before?
You'll feel like an actual god. There's an overpowering sensation of ecstasy.
That is so cool.
After getting creamed repeatedly by the same boss, by the same encounter, it all suddenly clicks. And once it clicks, you can't go back. You ride on pure adrenaline and muscle memory to repeat the the same fight, and this time you're not surviving. You're
This is
styling
crazy.
on your enemies. Before you know it, it's already over. You've won, and you're only left hungry for more. God Hand was very progressive for its time, and it features a very diverse and multicultural cast. The first boss you go up against is literally two gay guys who proposition Gene. Gene responds by saying, "I'm not that kind of guy." But as the story progresses,
Wait,
and
what?
Olivia keeps slave
They are
driving
Power
Gene
Rangers.
into doing more and more ridiculous stunts at the cost of his health and personal safety, Gene looks back and considers that maybe I am that kind of guy.
Oh.
Character development isn't exclusive to Gene alone. The second
Oh, I got
boss
a
you
cigar,
face,
though.
Elvis, is a Mexican demon struggling with weight loss. He's got some of the best dialogue in the entire game.
A la mierda. You know what? I'm getting a bit hungry. And a little huevon sounds like it would hit the spot. I don't think you realize what you're getting yourself into, pendejo.
Besides educating Gene on the basics of the Spanish language,
Pendejo. Coño.
Elvis turns out to be a big softy who's as much of a victim to his circumstances as is Gene to his unwanted responsibility. He hates people who disrespect the dead, and he also hates people who disrespect his demon waifu, Shannon, who you repeatedly encounter and spank to death.
Oh
By the
my
end of
god!
the
What? Huh?
That's so funny.
game, Gene has arguably found more humanity and common ground with the antagonists he faces than the repeatedly ungrateful woman he's working for. God Hand is extremely quotable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And extremely memorable.
Is this game? What? I what? That's
In no small
insane.
part because all of the enemies keep
I just wait. I think he had a sign on the back that said "kick me" right there.
in no small
Yeah,
Yeah, what?
in no
kick me. God hand.
God
small
hand.
part because
Huh.
all of the enemies keep quoting Mike Tyson. The game is an absolute meme, but originally was never designed as such. The developers just put some humor in the trailer for the 2008 E3 conference, but received such positive feedback that they went back and remade the game into the masterpiece it is now. It was, unfortunately,
Dang.
the last game ever made by Clover Studios. However, most of the team went on to work with Platinum Games, which was responsible for most of the crazy fighting games that came out in recent years. It's got insane amounts of replayability, and it's something I always come back to after every few years. It's just that good. It's also very easy to miss some of the subtleties on your first run. For example, Chihuahua racing. In the main menu, you can always pop into the store, casino, and fighting arena to practice your moves. But after a certain point in the story, you can also start gambling on, you guessed it, poison chihuahuas. This is a very easy way
poison?
to quickly lose all your
Poison
money or make back
chihuahuas.
20 times your original bet if you know what you're doing. My only advice, always bet on Clover. You'll thank me later. Also, enemies have special interactions if you satisfy certain conditions. If you manage to get one of the average, run-of-the-mill thugs down to no health at all, he'll start faking a seizure and begging for help. If you foolishly get too close, he'll kick
What
Gene
a
in the
dick!
ballsack, reducing your health to a single point instantly.
dick.
I also found out if you get a demon down to a single pip of health, you can poke them. They'll explode. There's probably more, but even as someone who's
really cool.
played and beat the game repeatedly, I can't call myself an expert. Even after all this time, level die turns me into a crying, sobbing little bitch, and there's no shame in admitting that. Some of the original reviewers of this game, however, cannot, and for that reason, Imagine Babies still holds a higher score on IGN than God Hand, a game that turned many boys into men, and turned many men into crying, sobbing little little children. For that reason alone, I give it a very good score. But when I consider that it's a goddamn masterpiece, I give it a perfect score. To reiterate the words of one presenter, one epitaph for Clover Studio. We made one of the best games of all time, and it was just a game about punching people. God Hand. It's amazing, it's addictive, and it's very satisfying. Respect the game, and it will respect you back. Highly recommended. Go play it. In lieu of the fact
So
that you
cool.
can't actually get a copy of God Hand anymore, I have linked it in the description below, which contains the game, the emulator, and everything you need to get started. But Seth, don't you need a working PS2 BIOS to emulate God Hand, which I hope you've legally obtained from your own PlayStation 2? These are all good questions, and they will be answered shortly. But more importantly, what's Seth been spending all of his sponsorship money on? I'll tell you. I hired every hentai artist to make lewd commissions of Olivia getting dicked, because there's too little goddamn hentai. All the shilling was for a good cause. I've linked every commission I made in the description below. I hope you understand the ends justify the means. But even more importantly, if you're unfortunate enough to be living in the Sharia state of Britain, the UK porn block is going to start July this same year, all in the name of protecting our children, which, if statistics are anything
This
to
took a
go
wild
by,
turn.
mean protection from their family instead. And based on how well government projects usually go, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. Just present your personal ID card, punch in your personal details, and stop worrying. Porn sites have some of the best security on the planet. Better than Habbo Hotel, probably. So it's very unlikely that your favorite smut site will get hacked or compromised and leak all of your personal information that could then be used to blackmail you in the future.
What is this?
However,
Like,
if
what's
you're
going
still
on?
I assume it's a
unconvinced and you want to put
VPN
your
ad.
That's what I
safety in
thought.
the hands of your infallible government, there is an alternative, an express
Okay.
alternative.
I mean, that was just impressively like.
I didn't know it was still an ad, but he
Yeah,
did well.
That game looks sweet. I would love like a modern remake on it.
Yeah, I'd play that. Well, maybe I'll check out his link there and download it for my PS2. And I'll check out the other link too and make sure the pictures are okay.
Yeah, definitely make sure. Let me know.
Safe for the internet.
Right.
Yeah, that's our job.
Of course, Goons Games and saving the internet. Guardians of the internet.
Right,
Goons
Games
Guardians.
or Guardians. Yeah, so I will double check it for you all. Don't worry. It's okay.
Like, comment, subscribe, become a member today. Join our Discord. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.